On this episode of Locked On Angels, a series win against a really good Phillies team? Wow, it kind of got us thinking, what does this mean for our favorite team? We're going to discuss the impact of this series win in segment 3 today. I'm Mike, that's John, we're the Super Halo Bros, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you to Matt E. Ice, who gave us a recent review and a 5-star. We appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, hit subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. Whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. One of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins.
Happy Monday to you. Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, aka the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
We're here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball with you every single weekday, Monday through Friday, however you want to slice it. We're here for you talking about our favorite team and your favorite team, no matter how much they might hurt us and give us hope, like they did over this weekend. On today's show, we're going to share with you the biggest takeaways from the weekend. You know, you can always catch a great recap, instant reaction from the busiest man in podcasting, Gavin Carlson, on our YouTube channel. And immediately after each and every game, he does the Angels, Locked On Angels postcast. And so we try to give you what you need to know from each game, the takeaways, the things you want to walk away with knowing, so that when somebody talks to you about this weekend, you can say, well, actually, and then you can, lay some knowledge on them. We want you to be a smarter Angels fan. That's our goal here at Locked On Angels. So with that said, let's get into Friday night's game against the Phillies. The Angels took this one 6-5, Mike. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Angels are 19-11 in one-run games, a good indication of a good team. Now, not all the metrics are up and to the right for this team. That run differential is one of those metrics that makes us really nervous, but a lot of one-run games, John. The Angels getting a victory on Friday night. First takeaway, the Angels opted to have a bullpen game. That was an interesting move, right? And I was ready to be upset about it, and I think Angel fans were ready to be upset about it.
Oh, yeah.
But it ended a really interesting streak for the Angels, a streak that you never thought this team would actually be able to start and participate in, but they had a 5-man rotation in 96 games this year. That they had a strictly 5-man rotation. Same guys every single time. It was a franchise record to begin a season, third longest stretch in the majors over the past decade. Cardinals in 2016, 98 games without going to a 6th starter. And then the Astros in 2018, 126 games without going to a 6th starter.
They just had Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander and Framber Valdez.
Didn't need it, right?
Yeah, they didn't need to do that. Ray Montgomery said it was a logical question to wonder why they wouldn't simply give Kikuchi and Soriano the ball as soon as possible. He said they like the opportunity to give them a little bit of an extra day after the break. Then Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register tweeted that 2 other factors for the bullpen game. The Angels prefer Hendricks and Anderson in New York against the Mets instead of the Phillies because it's a better pitcher's park. We'll see if the Angels are correct in that.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. They also have one more option for a 5th starter on Wednesday that they would have on Tuesday, because Wednesday is the first day that Victor Medeiros can return, because he was up with the team, was sent back to AAA, and then there's that 15-day window where a pitcher can't come back right away unless there's an injury. The final game in New York on Wednesday is TBD.
Yeah.
Mike, was this a bad decision? What do you think?
I mean, it felt like it initially, right? It felt like it with Zephyr John starting this game. He went out there, he struck out the first 2, but then gave up a home run to Kyle Schwarber in the bottom of the first. And then right after that, Jake Eder comes in, and Eder gives 3 innings to the Angels, but gives up 3 runs and walks 3. And so we feel like we're in some trouble. We'll get to the offense in just a moment. But then the rest of the bullpen really did a good job of shutting things down, kind of living on the edge a bit. Brock Burke entered into the bottom of the fifth. He went an inning, and he gave up a hit, striking out 2, and then Sam Bachman followed with 2/3 of an inning. He really struggled in this game, or not this game, but the next game, but he struggled this weekend. Then Reed Detmers entered in the bottom of the 7th, went an inning, struck out 2. And then Jose Fermin comes in the bottom of the 8th and immediately gives up a home run to Bryce Harper that made it a 1-run lead at that point for the Halos. We'll talk about Fermin and what he did this weekend coming up on the show. He did get the next 3 batters, including a strikeout of Marsh, and then Kenley Jansen came in for the save in this game, got the hitters 1, 2, 3. So the bullpen game ended up being a success for the Halos, and it was because, second takeaway, John, the Halo hitters supported the bullpen with 3 home runs on Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say that considering it's the guys that we talked about, Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper doing the damage, it's like, well, yeah, like
you kind of expect that, right?
Yeah, they would have done that to a starter too, right? Like
maybe
not as much success, but like also, I mean, literally Schwarber won the All-Star game for the NL because of the swing off, which I thought was awesome, by the way. I thought that was a lot of fun. Yeah, the offense supported the bullpen. They got the scoring started in the top of the 2nd. Jorge Soler hit his 11th home run of the season. He looks good up at the plate. He's looking a lot better now that it seems like he's healthy. Top of the 4th, Jo Adell hits his 20th home run of the season. That ties a career high, and it was a 2-run homer. Color me shocked, Mike, that they had a home run with runners on base. Trout was on with a double before Jo Adell hit that home run. Speaking of Trout, in the top of the 5th with runners at 1st and 3rd with 2 outs, Mike Trout hit an RBI single. That's career RBI 996 for Trout at that point. That RBI was Neto, who scored a run in his 8th straight game. So doing the job from the leadoff position. Top of the 7th, after a Nolan Shonowell walk, Taylor Ward hit his 22nd home run of the season at the time, and that gave the Halos the lead. So the offense really showing up for this bullpen game that they really, really needed to show up for.
Yeah, third takeaway from Friday, Ohapi's batting stance, a little bit different. His hands are a little bit more behind his head. He's turned in towards the plate, and he had some success with it, at least on Friday night, 2 hits, including, John, he hit a triple. Mm-hmm. He was motoring around the bases, and that was great to see. Fourth takeaway, John, there's 2 plays that we loved,
right?
And there are 3 plays that we hated. So let me do the 2 that we loved first, and then I'll let you share all the hate on the show. Top 6, after a Soler walk, Logan Ohapi flies out to deep center field. Marsh caught it, but was moving backwards, and Soler noticed that, and he tagged up. He went from first to second. Now, it didn't lead to a run, which was frustrating, but I loved the awareness. And then the second play, top 9, Neto doubles, and Shonowell grounds out to first base to move Neto to third. Productive out. I love that. It's the little things that make this team successful, and they just need to continue to do that. So those were 2 plays that we love. John, share the 3 plays that we hated on Friday.
Yeah, let's stay in the top of the 9th and share the plays that we hated. Neto was on third. Mike Trout struck out looking, took fastballs on 3-1 and 3-2 counts, and he didn't swing.
Yeah.
So he's searching for the walk. It's like, bro, come on.
You're Mike Trout. Just swing,
Mike
bro.
Trout,
we need you here.
You got Neto on third.
Yes.
Like, we need you to swing in those situations. I understand he's very good at working counts, and in this situation, you had a 3-1 count. Heck, you even had a 3-2 count. You had another chance. And so frustrating. Taylor Ward also followed that with a strikeout looking. This happened in back-to-back innings, actually, Mike, for the Angels. Top of the 8th, Ohapi hit that triple that you mentioned with 1 out. Rengifo and Newman both struck out. Both times this happened, they had less than 2 outs and didn't score that runner from third base. So frustrating stuff there. Finally, top of the 5th, the Angels did leave the bases loaded, and then Jo Adell grounded out to end that inning. However, the Angels win this one 6-5 and start the road trip off well. So that was exciting to watch. I had a funny moment of watching Jo Adell hit the home run over Brandon Marsh's head. Did you have any sort of feels about that? Because I certainly did watching that. I was like, man, I love Ohapi, but it would have been nice to have Ohapi and Marsh and Adell in this,
Yeah.
on this team. I don't know. I just kind of had a funny feeling like that.
The Brandon Marsh that they traded away, he had 2 really good years. And then this year happened, and he's just doesn't seem like the same guy. And I don't know if it's injuries or if he's getting older or pitchers are starting to figure him out. It was great to see him. He made a couple of great catches on Sunday, one on Rengifo, and then they had a moment at second base. And so I love the camaraderie there. Yeah. But I will say I'll take O'Hoppe over Marsh, right? I know you would as well, but it would have been nice to maybe have a Brandon Marsh in the outfield. Maybe it would have been nice to keep Mickey Moniak, right? Like it would have been nice to have some of those guys, but I love that Joe Adell is heating up. And of course he had a really great weekend, and it all started on Friday night.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. How would the Angels do in game 2? We're going to share the results and our takeaways. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled trades. It's supplyhouse.com. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the most reliable way to order products online. They got a really easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources and the latest product info. It's going to help you get the job done right, and they have a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, which means that you're going to find exactly what you need, and it's going to be delivered fast to your house, coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support. They have industry-leading service. They have real people. They're going to help you find what you really need. And if you're a trade pro looking for an extra edge, you can join their free Trade Master program. Offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts on every order. You can join that free Trade Master program at supplyhouse.com/TM. And if you're ordering plumbing, HVAC, or electrical supplies, you can do that in a few clicks. And when you check out, use our promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Mike, on Saturday, the Angels lost the game 9-5. You felt really good after what happened on Friday night with the bullpen, doing a good enough job, but the offense picking up that bullpen. But the first takeaway we need to talk about from Saturday is that Kikuchi's first inning struggles continued. He had a run on 2 hits and a walk. Interesting note here, he's got a 5.85 ERA in the first inning, 17 runs given up, most of any inning. So it's the way he starts and then kind of the way he finishes too, Mike. The next closest inning is the 6th inning, where he's given up 11 runs. He only gave up the 1 run because the Halos turned a very unique double play behind him. What's funny is I saw the clip and there were a lot of comments. I think John Boy had reposted it, and it was like, "Ooh, this is not a good look for the Phillies." And before it said that caption, there were people in the comments saying, "Man, I thought this was going to be an Angels issue. I thought it was going to be an Angels problem." Like, it was like, oh, good. It was the Phillies that made the mistake, not the Angels. So I thought that was really funny. But
one comment about that, John, is, and maybe I should hold this comment back because we haven't really seen the moments with the Angels this year, right? Where they're just going crazy and things are falling apart. I know they've had a couple of bad errors and throws and things like that, but nothing to where it was like this on Saturday for the Phillies. Just bad base running and really heads up defense by the Halos.
Yeah, with no outs and runners on second and third, Bryce Harper grounded out to second. Rengifo threw home, and Trey Turner was on third. And then d'Arnaud gets him to go back to third. Then he throws it to second to get the runner out. Then Neto, who was at second, throws it back home because Trey Turner broke for home again.
Yeah.
And so then d'Arnaud runs the runner back to third. They throw it to Moncada, and he tags the runner out. So it was a Rengifo to d'Arnaud to Neto to d'Arnaud to Moncada double play to get those guys off of second and third. So, yeah, he was able to get out of it without much damage. The second takeaway, Mike, for the rest of his start, Kikuchi was much better. He followed his first inning struggles by striking out the side in the second inning. The second inning has actually been one of his best innings. He's posted a 2.25 ERA in the second, which is important because of those struggles in the first. He's able to lock in and get back to where he needs to be by the second inning. Just 1 hit since the first, 6 Ks from the second to the 5th inning. Things got difficult for him in that 5th inning. He walked the leadoff hitter, and Trey Turner singled him in. Kikuchi recovered, struck out Harper in a 10-pitch at bat, and he got Castellanos to line out. Thing is, though, is he had about 33 pitches in that 5th inning.
Yeah.
And so the next question here that we'll talk about is the bullpen management. But he did go 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts on 91 pitches. Mike, 19 swings and misses in this game. 10 of them came on the fastball because he was throwing it in there at like 98 on Saturday night. Now, he would not get the win, obviously, because the Angels not only lost this game, but the bullpen couldn't hold the lead for Kikuchi, and that's our 3rd takeaway, right, Mike?
Yeah, bottom 6, the bullpen took over. Angels were leading 4-2, but they ended the bottom of the 6th inning trailing 7-4 because in this inning there was a hit by pitch. There were 2 walks that came back to hurt the Halos. And the bigger issue, John, and it's one that I've talked about on this show often, is that the walk and the hit by pitch were to guys at the bottom of the freaking order.
I know.
Guys that just are hardly hitting, right? You have such a hard top of the order with Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper and Castellanos. And I mean, you've got great hitters. Bottom of the order are the guys you got to get out, and the bullpen just couldn't do it. Specifically, Bachman and Fermin, they really struggled. Bachman was charged with 3 runs, and Fermin was charged with 2 runs. Each walked a combined 3 batters, but the big blow was the grand slam by free agent Kyle Schwarber at the end of this year. And Fermin, John, Fermin threw him a fastball in the zone, high in the zone, exactly where he likes it. Second night in the row that Fermin has thrown a high fastball and it was hit out. And this all happened. Here's what's even more frustrating. It all happened with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Yeah. That was really, really frustrating. Phillies added more in the top of the 8th on a home run from Bryce Harper. It happened with 2 outs and Carson Fulmer was on the mound. But John, back to you, Fermin, for just a moment. Like this is frustrating because I know he's a young guy and somebody that is learning how to pitch. It really brings us to our 4th takeaway. The Halos really need some experience in the bullpen if they're going to make a run, right?
Yeah, and we've discussed this before, but if they want to make a run, they're going to need some more veteran guys in there. And David Robertson, funny enough, signed a deal with the Phillies over the weekend because they were mad about how their bullpen looked on Friday night, and so they signed him. Can I just say that the fact that it's Fermin and Bachman, the guys who haven't been around the team as much or as long this year, to me, it's an experience thing. I also think it's a mentality thing in that, Mike, you have to attack the guys at the bottom of the order, like you said.
Yeah.
But then, and I don't know if it's Hoppy calling the pitches, Darno calling the pitch. Well, it was Darno in this situation, but what I'm saying is, who's in charge here? Because when you look at, I'm on Baseball Savant right now. Kyle Schwarber's hitting 316 against fastballs. Mm-hmm. But you know what he's hitting against breaking balls? 149.
Yeah.
Right.
So why are you throwing him a fastball?
Why are you throwing him a fastball
in the zone?
Right.
At all. And then in the zone.
And not even to try to hit the top of the zone and get him to swing through. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't throw him a fastball. Right. And so it just makes me wonder, who's in charge and who's guiding these young guys along, if not Darno. And shouldn't you know the scouting report on a Kyle Schwarber like that? So, yeah, it's just frustrating in that situation.
And even if you didn't know the scouting report, John, I don't know the scouting report. And I knew that it was not great to throw a fastball at the top of the zone or throw a fastball at all.
Yeah.
And I get that they had just walked a bunch of guys. It did seem like Bachman was really struggling with his control. Fermin didn't seem like he was not in control of his breaking stuff, but I think that they were trying to set Schwarber up for the breaking stuff, when in reality, like, bases loaded, it's like a video game, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Ken Griffey Jr. baseball, and you had Griffey Jr. at the plate. You knew with the bases loaded that he's going to smack the ball. He's going to crush the ball. It didn't matter what you threw to him. He was going to hit the ball and hit it out of the park. And so you have to be very careful in those situations. And there was a lot they did before that situation that got them into trouble. They were nitpicking. They weren't throwing in the zone. They were trying to throw out of the zone. And I mean, it's Harper and it's Trey Turner. They're not going to chase. Yeah. And that's the problem. And then if you're not going to get the bottom of the order out, then you're going to have to face Trey Turner and the Bryce Harpers and the Kyle Schwarbers and the Nick Castellanos. You're going to have to face them with runners on if you're not going to get the guys who you're supposed to get out of the game. And the Angels bullpen, Bachman and Fermin specifically, just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and to be a Monday morning quarterback here for a second, it almost feels like you needed to go to Connor Brogdon for the sixth inning rather than these young guys who were in the night before, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Now, problem is that we probably would have had Hunter Strickland in that situation, but he's hurt.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, well, if he was still around, they probably would have put Hector Neris in there. But did you see Hector Neris against the Mariners this weekend? Not too good.
Too good.
I think we dodged a bit of a bullet there. But yeah, the problem is that even though these guys are young and veterans also can make mistakes, they do have a better sense of what the hitter can do. And so they're going to pitch to the weaknesses of that hitter rather than groove them a fastball to Kyle freaking Schwarber, who again, 316 on the fastball this season for his batting average.
Yeah, fifth takeaway for the Angels was that they had a really good offense early on. They got the lead, but they struggled to regain the lead. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, everything started for the Halos in the top of the fourth. Taylor Ward got the Angels on the board with his 23rd home run, his 100th career home run. Then Joe Adell follows with a home run of his own, 21st. That's a career high for Joe Adell. And the Angels follow with 4 singles: Moncada, Wade Jr., Rengifo, and Neto, and they add another run. They had 6 hits and 3 runs in that fourth inning. John, they added a run in the top of the 6th on a Moncada home run, and then the top of the 7th, after the Angels bullpen surrendered the lead in the bottom of that that inning in the 6th, Nolan Shawnuel reaches on a single, and then Taylor Ward, who's just on fire right now, doubles Shawnuel in. And that was the only positive for the Halos, because after Schwarber hit the grand slam, the offense they fell asleep, John. They struck out 5 times in the last 3 innings after striking out 7 times through the first 6 innings. I know those numbers aren't great, but it really felt like they were pressing once Schwarber hit that home run. Once they went down, it felt like they were like, okay, we got to get it all back right now in this moment.
I was just going to say that's something you say often on this show, is that when the Angels fall behind, it feels like they're trying to get everything back in the very next inning.
And
rather
didn't it
than
feel like that on Saturday?
Yeah,
I mean, it felt like they were like panicking. It felt
right.
very panicky. And I would say like maybe that is a lack of having Ron Washington on the bench and it's Ray Montgomery. But remember, they did that with Wash.
They did it with Ron too.
It feels like that hasn't been solved. And I know that they've come back. Like they've had some great comebacks this season, but it just felt like when Shawnuel reached and then Ward doubled him in, that felt great, but they had a chance to knock in Ward and they didn't do it, right? And that's the thing that I think happens often with this team. If they get down big, and they weren't down that big, it was only 3 runs, but if they get down big, it seems like they're trying to get it all back in one swing. With Taylor Ward sitting at second base after knocking in a run, and you have an opportunity to continue to turn the batting lineup over, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where you just need little dinks and dunks. And that's how the Angels have been beaten by really bad teams this year. And then here they are as the bad team playing the good team, and they just didn't do that on Saturday. And then, of course, Carson Fulmer comes in, and then the lead grows after that, and the Angels end up losing 9-5 on Saturday.
Feels like Carson Fulmer should have been back a while ago to be that innings eater guy. Rather than it certainly would have solved the issue of bringing up Al DeGarry, bringing up Caden Dana, like everybody hooting and hollering about that. It would have been nice to replace that innings eater guy. But the fact is, they haven't really needed that guy, right? They haven't needed that mop up Jose Suarez guy a lot this season. And that's a good thing. And they needed it early on in the season. And that's why Ian Anderson was that guy. But now at this point, they haven't really needed that. It's unfortunate that they lost the game on Saturday, but they did try to look to win the series on Sunday.
How about FanDuel and you and winning some money? Those are 3 great things, and let's combine them all together. FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are out at the beach getting sunburned. You can earn some Cold hard cash, FanDuel is easy to track your favorite matchups. The app keeps things fresh with new daily promotions. It's a fun way to bet. It's so easy to use, fast payouts, and they make regular season baseball games, even if it's not your favorite team, they make a must-watch events because you can make a bet, place a bet on who's getting home runs, who's getting hits, and then you can combine it for a same-game parlay, and you can ride that bet into the ninth inning.
That's what that guy did before the All-Star break. He took 50 cents and turned it into like 16 grand because he nailed the strikeout totals of all the pitchers that night. It was insane, Mike. Yeah. It's crazy.
And that was just some guy, but you're an everydayer, so it's important for you to use FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers get $5. If you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. You're going to win. You're better than this some guy, right? You can do that. So open the app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
Sunday, the Angels win 8-2, their first win on a Sunday since May 18th.
Felt like it.
Of this year. And you knew that to be true because, as you said, it certainly felt that way. And not only that, but coincidentally, it was a day game as well. And that's something that they've struggled in this season, in addition to winning on Sunday, which I know most of the time it is a day game, but they haven't won day games during the week often either. Yeah. So it's been a problem. But let's talk about the takeaways from Sunday, Mike. First takeaway was the Angels learned how to hit with runners in scoring position. Happy learned how to putt. From Jeff Fletcher, he said that since the weekend in Toronto when the Angels couldn't get a hit with a runner in scoring position, since then they've hit 292, including 333 with runners in scoring position. On Sunday, they had 3 hits with runners in scoring position and had at least 2 hits in the last 2 games. We saw those big hits help the Angels in the second inning. That brings us to our second takeaway, Mike.
Yeah, Angels had a big second inning on Sunday. They loaded the bases in that second inning with less than 2 outs, and Neto delivered with an RBI single to right. He's batting .478 in his career with the bases loaded.
Is that all?
That's all, right? And then Wade Jr., who is in this game, we'll talk about him in a second because Shawano went out. He flew out to left, and then Mike Trout draws a bases-loaded walk, first of 2 RBIs on the day for Trouty. Now, that ball that was called ball 4 looked like strike 3 to Mike Trout. It feels like, and we mentioned this in the first segment, it feels like he's up there looking to walk rather than to do some damage right now. Am I wrong in that? I know his stats right now have been great. His last 7 games, he's been great. Since he's returned, he's been great. But his on-base percentage since he returned, it's in the 430s. So he's getting on base, but it feels like his approach is more of a leadoff hitter rather than a number 3 hitter.
Yeah. Well, and I think that goes back to the argument of where he could have been in this lineup, Mike, and that's, number 1 or at least number 2. But I think he's just rolling with what's working right now. And the fact is like, if he's swinging at the ball, like he's going to make good contact, whether it lands or not, that's up to, the expected average, the outfielder, what have you. The truth is, Mike, I know that we pile on sometime where the Trout's not clutch or he doesn't come through in the big moment, but we have to look at where he's been in his career. And it's usually in front of Albert Pujols at number 2. At times it was in front of Ohtani. At times it was behind Ohtani, but still like batting second, batting third, right? So there were a lot of moments where he's being the kind of guy that he's being now, right? Mm-hmm. He's been that guy for a very, very long time. In this situation, he's trusting somebody like Taylor Ward, the cleanup hitter, to do what he's supposed to do. And in this situation, he did do what he was supposed to do. Taylor Ward cleared the bases with a double, gave the Halos a 5-run lead. Taylor Ward is guessing right now, Mike.
Yeah,
it's the streaky Taylor Ward is guessing right, and he did that all weekend. The first 5-run inning since June 28th against the Nationals, Taylor Ward had 2 doubles in this game. That gives him 24 doubles on the season and 23 home runs as well. He also had 4 RBIs in this one, 8 RBIs for the series, and 73 total RBIs for the season. He's been hitting a lot better on the road as well. Entering yesterday's game on Sunday, slashing 278, a 355 on base, a 593 slugging, and a 948 OPS on the road. However, at home, 171 average, 240 on base, a 366 slugging, and a 606 OPS at the Big A. But all this offense was in service of helping Jose Soriano pick up the win, who is the focus of our third takeaway, right, Mike?
Yeah, Soriano, so much better on the road. He entered Sunday 5-2, 2.47 ERA in 10 starts, 62 innings, 42 Ks, and 25 walks, with a 1.26 WHIP and a 2.39 batting average against. At home, 1-5 with an ERA of 5.65, 10 starts, 51 innings pitched, 56 Ks. He's striking out more guys at home. Interesting. Walking more guys, 30 walks, and a 1.69 WHIP with a 2.79 batting average against. He went 7 innings in this game, John, and gave up 6 hits, 2 runs. He walked 2, and he struck out 5. It was the longest outing for an Angel starter since July 3rd against the Braves. Guess who the starter was? Jose Soriano. He went 7 innings in that game, and he got the win. And here's a remarkable stat. He got 16 outs on 14 ground balls, 0 outs on fly balls and line drives. John, the last out of the game was the first out that wasn't a strikeout or a ground ball. It was a line drive to Newman. That was the first out that was in the air, and it ended the game. The Angels bullpen and Soriano had the Phillies hitting the ball into the dirt.
Yeah. You made my buckle up nerd alarm go off when you said that he's got more strikeouts at home, but also more walks than he does on the road. I think I'm going to have to dig into that, Mike, because I think that there's something there. So I'm going to pull that thread a little bit and see what I can find this week.
Do it. Fourth takeaway, John. Nolan Shawnawa left this game with a left wrist contusion. Sounds like everything is fine. He's just really, really sore. Pitch hit him in the wrist, top of the first, and then he left in the bottom of the first. And then Lamont Wade Jr. took over for him. And John, Wade Jr. hits a home run in this game. Yeah. He has 3 hits in this game, makes an incredible scoop at first base in this game. In the 7th inning, he suddenly becomes not late night Lamont, but what was the name that our everydayers nicknamed him?
Steve Rivera on YouTube said, lunchtime Lamont, as they say. And you know what, Mike? Maybe there's something to that. Maybe Lamont Wade Jr. needs to be in a day game because the ball flies a little bit more. It's a little bit easier, to get some air time, some hang time on those. So I thought that was funny. And then also I have to shout out Raul Ignacio on YouTube said, Ranger Suarez pitched like Jose Suarez this year. And which is funny because there's something about Angels and Suarez's, because we said the same thing about Robert Suarez of the Padres, who blew that save and Taylor Ward hit that grand slam off of him. But very interesting series. And again, I like lunchtime Lamont. I think we're going to have to roll with that. But what does this series say about the Halos as we get closer and closer, about 2 weeks away from the trade deadline?
Great. You won a series. Good. Now you got to win the next one, right? That's what it says. They should not be making decisions about what happens this weekend because they got the Mets. And then the biggest test comes when they play the Mariners and the Rangers. They have to win those series. They cannot split those series. They cannot lose those series. Doesn't matter if they beat the Mets and greet the Mets, right? It doesn't matter. They have to be able to win against the Mariners and the Rangers. Win series, not winning streaks. Win series, not winning streaks. Get that tattooed across your forehead.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your next listen, catch me and JD Haffern of Locked On Cardinals on MLB Game Night. We're going live after the final out of the final game. We're back this week. Of course, they picked it back up on Friday, but JD and I have a lot of fun. So you can catch Locked On MLB Game Night on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast. On Tuesday, Mike, we are back for more Locked On Angels. But before we get to that, give us a follow at Locked On Angels and connect with Mike and I at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. We would love to hear from you there. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show on YouTube, get in the comments section, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on the weekend and what the Angels need to be doing as we approach the trade deadline. Mike, what conversation do we have coming up on Tuesday?
We'll give you an update on who the fifth starter will be on Wednesday, who the Angels are looking at to fill that spot. Plus, we're going to talk about how Jack Kahanowitz did yesterday in AAA. He did start, and the start was interesting. We'll talk about the details of that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, we're looking forward to that conversation, and we hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
Beat the Mets. Great the Mets. Come on and great. I don't know.
You're looking at the new scouting director of the New York Mets.